I'm Danny from Allans Hyde in Melbourne. I work in the Blackburn store, but today I'm here in Sydney to check out some stuff at Roland. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I understand you guys do mainly electronic stuff, but I mean, I'm sitting here in front of an acoustic drum kit. What's the deal?
Well, I'm a drummer. I mean, I love drums, all drums. So, and the same as the guys who designed V-drums in Japan, we're, fanatical drummers. So the whole idea is with electronic drums that you can reinforce your acoustic sound. You don't have to decide to be an electronic drummer or an acoustic drummer. It's like sound reinforcement. Just like a microphone reinforces your live sound on stage, a trigger and a sampler can be used in a really similar way. So that's what we've got hooked up today.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been jealous of guitarists with their like massive effects pedals and soundboards. You know, not everyone is Questlove. Not everyone can get 20 different sounds out of a snare drum. It's really nice to have that opportunity.
Exactly. I mean, during a gig, a guitar player will change depending on in the song. They might change between verses and choruses and outros and intro sections and all sorts of things, or even just to get, sort of soundscapey ambient sounds. And on an acoustic kit, usually you just got that sound for the whole gig. So a way of actually making your sound a bit more interesting is to reinforce them with triggers. So we've actually got the RT series triggers on the kick and the snare. They're really simple. You just stick it at about 2 o'clock on the bass drum, and there's a little adjustment screw that lets you adjust how close to the head it is. It's very simple to use. I've just stuck them on the drums. I've got them running into the SPD-SX sampler next to me, which is where we're going to be getting our sounds from.
Cool.
So maybe I should play you just the basic dry acoustic drum sound.
Yeah, let's hear it.
We've got it mic'd up with dynamic microphone in the bass drum, dynamic on the snare, condenser mic on the hi-hat. So it's a very typical setup. Not the best type of miking that you could have. In the studio, you could go with a mic on the beater head and also sub mic and that sort of stuff as well as a mic underneath the snare. But the aim of this today is to show you how a basic stage drum sound can be reinforced with samples and triggers.
Cool.
Okay, so this is our basic dry drum sound. I've got the SPD-SX sampler turned all the way down, so we're not hearing anything from that. Basic sound. So all I'm going to be triggering now is the kick and the snare, and I'm just going to dial up a patch that I've created, which I've just called hip hop. It's not really hip hop, it's just that was the closest patch I had ready to go.
Yeah.
So the sounds I've got on the bass drum, an 808.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Which is a Roland drum machine. So,
all right.
And a snare as well. So I've got a really dry drum machine-y snare and bass drum. So the snare I've got normally here is a steel snare with a bit of ring to it, and I haven't muffled it down too much. It's still quite live. But adding this sound to it gives me this great fat sound. So pretty cool.
Yeah. That's wicked.
You could do the whole gig just like that without actually using the hi-hat at all.
I'm in a hip hop band. This would be
It's
perfect,
great.
man. This would be perfect.
So, I mean, our bass drums are 22 by 16, very dry bass drum with a little bit of muffling in there, but it's transformed the sound again. So this is the dry sound of the bass drum, and with the 808 on there.
So I'm curious. Some of my customers have been asking me, with these triggers, are they also sensitive to velocity?
They are. So I can either switch it in here to be non-velocity sensitive. So sometimes if you have a loop, you want it to be non-velocity sensitive because every time you hit it, you want it to be the same volume level every time.
Sure.
But single shots like this, you often want to be able to play with a bit of nuance.
Yeah.
So this 808 here is velocity sensitive. Same as the bass drum. I can actually adjust that too to be really sensitive or not so sensitive as well. On the edge, I also have claps. So this is a dual trigger, snare and edge.
Yeah.
So I can play it left or right-handed, obviously, and it's active around the whole head. And that's my clap sound.
So it's the versatility of an electric drum kit.
That's right.
In the feel of a real one.
And what you could do, you might want some tracks where you're not using it on stage, so you just turn it down.
Yeah.
Or you can turn off the pad for that patch. So you can save a patch that's song number 1, it might be turned off for the first song, and then turned on for the second song. So really, it's a great way of reinforcing your sound. So I've got a couple of other patches I've made here.
Yeah.
The second one is totally different sounding bass drum, which is very staccato and snappy. But that could be great if you're doing some metal because you want really snappy beater sound. So that would be perfect for that. And the snare is basically a compressed, super mic'd up version of this snare. Okay, so. So on the edge, I've got a loop, which I can trigger and re-trigger as I like. And I can also have it so that I have a threshold of triggering, so that if I hit it at a certain strength, the rim will come on as well. Or I can have it totally isolated. So I can adjust all of those things inside the actual brain of the sample pad.
That's very cool.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And one more patch is, again, another variation. This has a really short staccato nasty snare and also a sub hit as well. So I can trigger that either from the rim, or if I hit hard enough in the right spot, I can also trigger it from the center, or I can isolate them totally independently if I want. But
nice.
That's pretty cool. And on the bass drum, I have a loop that's happening. So I have a sound, synth, and underneath it, I have a synth line that continues. So here I have. So here I also have 9 pads. So I've only just really scratched the surface. I've got my 2 samples happening here, another one on the edge, and also 9 happening here, and I can decide which ones go at the same time. And I can even beat sync this so that if I change tempo, it changes the tempo of the loop as well. So you have basically time stretching inside there as well. So it's a very powerful instrument.
Man, that is powerful. I just spent maybe $6,000 on a new drum kit. I should have bought one of those instead.
Yeah, basically you can sample things and stick it in there and use it. Anything that you can record, you can actually play back from the kit.
That's
sitting
awesome.
next to the kit. So imagine using this setup live. I've basically got a really simple stripped down kit, but massive sound possibilities.
Yeah.
So it's very impressive.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks, Simon.
No problems, Danny.
That was really cool. That was really cool. So we were checking out the sampling pad and the 2 triggers on the acoustic drum kit. Perfect present for anyone who's interested. I'll be in the store, so come and say hello. And we should have these things in as well. So yeah, see you soon.